Hello. I wanted to do today a video on a few knives and comparisons, but really focus on this guy, the Case Large Stockman in CV steel or carbon steel. Um, I know it's a little bit, there's kind of a lot on the table, but I wanted to show off this guy and kind of show you just some of the things that you could compare against a Case knife and see kind of what you're getting for different price points. This is not going to be a review on one particular knife, or in this case, the Stockman from Case, but again, more of just a comparison, and maybe another time I'll do like an actual review on this. I also want to do this video to kind of show like what you could expect from getting this type of knife out of the box from Case, and because it's pretty much new. I mean, I don't really carry it that much, but I'm gonna change that, I think. And you'll see here, for instance, like, so this is CV steel from Case, carbon steel. So you can tell, not really used, no patina really on the blade itself or on the blades. This is the large clip main blade. Here's the spay blade. It's really nice. You'll see CS there on the tang for carbon steel. Nothing on the other side. Nice spay blade though. Blades are sharp, thin behind the edge. I'll give them that. And here's the sheep's foot. Again, nice. Here it says USA 6375. So that's the model from Case. USA made, carbon steel, like I said. And again, really thin behind the edge and sharp. I don't know if you can see, I'll show this right now. It's a little toothy, gritty, but there you go. If you can see that. You can see how the light reflects off of that edge. It is interesting what Case does. I don't know. It's not as refined, I guess, as it could be, that edge there. But what I'll say, I mentioned this on another video the other day. This is what you could call serviceable, I guess, because I'll give it to him. This is sharp. I mean, just take my word for it. This thing is sharp, shaving sharp. It doesn't look like it is. That edge looks a little bit toothy. Or maybe not. I mean, if you put it under a microscope, which I'm not going to do, but it looks a little bit toothy, I think. Sorry. But maybe not. Maybe not. It looks good. I just see a few small spots where I think it looks a little toothy, almost like chippy, very, very close to the edge. But anyway, it's nice, and it's good and sharp. But serviceable, what I mean to say is, if I got my leather strop out with some compound, give this thing a few light passes on that, this thing would be a laser beam. So it's good. It's sharp enough, because I can really mess with it and really get it like crazy sharp if I wanted to. Same thing with this blade, very thin behind the edge and sharp. Giving you a sample to walk and talk here. It's good and sharp. It is very smooth pulls. 5, I'd say. Very smooth. Honestly, it could be a little bit stronger, in my opinion, for a large Stockman. For like a heavy duty type slip joint. Very solid in the hand. This thing is like 4 1/4 inches closed length. So I'll say though, it's a comfortable, very, very good inside holding. The sheep's foot and the spay kind of just rest where they need to be. And excellent, good steak knife, good, apple peeler, whatever you need to do. Awesome kind of utility blade for whatever you need to, maybe carving, whatever you need to do, whittling, if you're into that. This is a great package opener. This is a great letter opener. Really good for draw cuts. the sheep's foot. So I really like this knife because it's not as imposing as you would think, because this, as their large Stockman, this thing's as I said, 4 1/4 closed length. You would think that this thing was like heavy and bulky and big. You know what I wish I did is got my Northwoods Madison Barlow out. I'll do another comparison video on that just to kind of give you a comparison of the size. But this thing, for its size, feels lighter weight than a Northwoods Madison Barlow two blade, not the single blade. So I'll pull it out. But really nice job overall. The transitions from cover to bolster, perfect. I mean, every side. You close your eyes, can't feel the transition. Like, just not there. Really, really well done. The bone also is really nice. If you look at that. So this isn't their pocket worn series. This is not their Bone Stag. What do they call it? They call this, it has a similar color to the Bone Stag, but it's amber bone. You know what I mean? And the jigging, I think they do call this peach seed jigging. You can see the peach seed jigging there. It's really well done. The case always does, I think, a pretty nice job on their bone. Just really cool colors. Here's a look at the back spring. The back spring is good. Is it the best? Here, let's see if I can. The best in the world? Maybe not the best in the world, but does it need to be the best in the world? It's very, very, very nice. I'll give them that. Really no gaps. There is kind of one, what I'm thinking of, bear with me here if I find it. There's a gap on the top side here. So there's a gap across, this would be, what back spring is that? So this is not the main blade back spring, I guess. This is the where the spay and the sheep's foot ride on. The top back spring, as you're seeing it, there's a gap, but it's consistent across the entire length of the knife. So it's not that bothersome to me because at least it's consistent. And I haven't done a light test to see if light is actually passing through that. I don't think that it would, and frankly, it's really nothing home. It's not worth writing home about. It's as you look at the back spring here, it's really well done. It's nice. You know, I think maybe you can see the gap there a little bit, but it's not that bad. Again, because it's not like it's popping out on this side and then here it's nice and tight. It's kind of consistent across the whole length, so I don't mind. I'll also say this knife cost me around $60, I think, maybe a little bit more. $65. So if you think about what you're getting for the 3 blades, carbon steel, nice bone, great transitions, it's USA made. It's pretty solid. I mean, I can't really complain. It's not like I'm spending $175 on a GEC or something. You know, and again, as I said, for the money, there's nothing really to complain about. So and it's just a beautiful knife, well made. Sorry, little scuffs there. Nice. It's really, really nice. I'm impressed. What I'll do is, this is the, I did a review on this slip or not a review, really it was more like an out of the box thing. This was like $10 on Amazon. It's called Valhalla Gear, or from Valhalla Gear. It's full grain leather. It's nice, smooth. You can tell it's pretty decent quality. It's thin, but it's decent quality. And again, for the money, I'm considering, now that I've shown the knife kind of what it's like when you know, when it's more out of the box, like that kind of condition. I'm looking forward to really kind of getting a patina on this thing, using this thing, kind of be a little bit more indiscriminate in terms of what I use it for. Cut steak with it, open up more packages, apples, cutting strawberries for the kids, stuff like that, and really actually wanting to patina it now is kind of what I'm trying to say. So it'd be really cool to kind of watch this thing age. I'm gonna keep it in this slip. The jury's out on this slip in terms of, is this the greatest slip ever made? I don't know, but it's again, for $10, it does seem to fit the case large Stockman in here really well. Again, 4 1/4 inches closed length. This is not a review on the slip, but what I'll just say is, if this thing gets turned upside down, I don't know why it would in your pocket, but this thing, I guess, could slide out. Is it the end of the world? Not really. More what this is for is if I just put this in my pocket as is, what this thing tends to do, knives, I'm sure you know, tend to do, it won't just ride vertical in my pocket. It'll go like this, and and kind of way down the bottom of my pocket as it lays horizontally against my leg, uh, which is not cool. I just don't love that. So this slip is meant to protect the knife against key, or protect the bone against keys in my pocket, whatever, but also to allow this width of the slip allows my this knife, the weight, to be distributed evenly across my pocket. And so it's just gonna, I've tried it before, it sits nicely. Again, it's, you see how this thing bounces around in there. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. You might not love that. But maybe as I use this more and more, this thing will mold a little bit better to this knife. This thing is not so much to lock this knife in place in the slip so that if you turn it upside down, it won't go anywhere. It's more, as I said, to distribute the weight of the knife evenly in my pocket and to keep it riding vertical as opposed to horizontal. So for what this thing is so far, I dig it. But anyway, back to the knives. I'll move this slip out of the way. So, case large Stockman. Real quick, this is not. I'll do separate reviews on these beauties later on. But I just wanted to show off a couple things here, and not say anything objective. More just show them off, and you know, interested what you think, and more just a show and tell in terms of fit and finish, quality, pull weight, across a couple of different brands here, and what that means and maybe what it doesn't mean. So as I said, this is a new case Stockman. This is an old case, synthetic bone. This is a vintage case. I'll give you the model number in a second. I love this knife. You can tell back springs are pretty solid for the for how old this thing is. And what I want to emphasize though, this pull weight is just like a rock. Really beautiful knife, I think. Listen to this. It just is a bear claw, this thing. Really heavy. Maybe an 8. An 8. 8.5, maybe 8.5. This thing is tight, very, very strong. Secondary, tight. Ooh, secondary might be a 9. Maybe this is an 8. Maybe this is an 8.5. 9 is getting up there. This is tight. Feel that? Yeah. Now I could probably oil this. Anyway, I love this is synthetic bone. Oh, let me show you the model number. But this is synthetic bone. Not synthetic bone. Synthetic handle material, and it's jigged. It's pretty cool. I like it. Cool knife. I really like it. This is as a comparison. So look at the difference in size. So I would say this is more. Maybe 3 5/8, something like that. This is more than 3.5, less than 3 3/4. If that makes sense to you. Close length, great size, great knife. But listen, look now. This pull weight is just very different. Now, what do you say about that? Is it true that means that it's a lesser quality knife? Not necessarily. Bear with me. I'm sorry. I just want to fix my camera here. Okay, sorry about that. Is it a lesser quality knife? No. Sorry. Movement will end now. Not necessarily. But it's something to mention, because I think that there is a perceived value of quality when you've got the age of this knife with the strength of the backspring that it still has. Maybe that does mean it's a better quality. So does that mean the case has kind of gone down from quality a little bit. Now this is not to get too hyped up about. I mean, we have two knives here. I'm looking at. I'm not looking at every knife Case ever made, so I'm not trying to blow this thing out of proportion. But I'm just mentioning something. It is interesting. You've heard, maybe you've heard that Case's quality has gone down in the past. I don't know. I think there's a lot to say about that in terms of just the passage of time and how the market has changed, and the price of labor, or the cost of labor and the cost of materials and whatnot. Because again, remember now, this thing costs $60. A GEC, which I don't have on the table, is not $60, right? And there are a lot of comparison. There are a lot of good things that you're getting for $60 with this knife. So I realize I'm talking about this knife as well, but I just want to emphasize that, yeah, I'd say GEC is definitely better than Case now, but there are just a lot of factors to consider. You know what I mean? And not every comparison is an apples to apples comparison. So take that with a grain of salt. I'll say that you definitely get a sense of quality with this old Case. When that thing snaps open, you just feel like you can get stuff done, man. I mean, this thing is not anywhere near the size of this Stockman, and this thing just feels more confident in the hand. Believe it or not, I'm not saying this is unsafe or anything like that, but this back spring is just not going anywhere. I mean, this is a great little knife. That thing just snaps. Whereas this thing, it's more silky. It's just a different kind of a knife. Anyway, also, Stockmans, I think, from Case tend to be like this, where it's a little bit lighter of a pull. They've got a lot going on in these springs and whatnot. So take it all with a grain of salt. I'm just trying to show it off. It's a beautiful knife, though, I'll say. Really. Not complaining. Again, I'm just trying to talk about a few things and just show it off. The bone here is really nice. Case does a nice job on their bone. So really cool. So this is another Case. This thing, sorry, because this thing has been used. The bolsters. This is nickel silver bolster. This is you can tell this thing's been used. I should probably clean it, but anyway, this is an honest channel. Just is what it is. This knife is not abused, but definitely used. I bought this thing new a while back. There's a chip on the bottom of the bone here. Beautiful blue. I'm not as big of a stainless fan, especially Case's surgical steel stainless. I just appreciate carbon more. But anyway, this is a Case, what is that? 61009, made in the USA. You see SS for stainless steel. It's a silky half stop, but a silky pull. Very similar weight, even for this big blade. They're very similar pulls. Maybe fives. Very similar. The weight of the blade actually disappears because of the pull is so light. So it doesn't, you would think that this would be a heavier pull, but it's really not. It doesn't feel that way. Anyway, they're both good knives. Are they built to the same standard as this knife? I don't think so. I just don't think so. This thing has a lot of time working against it, and this thing is still bomb-proof. Granted, synthetic covers, whereas this is bone and it's chipped, so that's my bad. I mean, I dropped that thing. So just throwing it out there. What about the fit and finish? Pretty nice. Nice. No gaps. I don't think I see any gaps. Maybe there's a little gap here. But overall, it's nice. Again, I forget what I paid for this. Maybe it wasn't that much. Maybe it was like 50 or something. More than 50, but wasn't that much. Single blade centering. Show you the centering. It's maybe a little bit off. It's pretty good. Very good. Very good. Maybe not dead on, but it's close enough. Here, the blades fit in well on the Stockman, in the blade well. There is a little bit of blade rub on this knife, I notice, but from what I can gather, that's very common for a Case Stockman. pretty much all Case Stockmans. They make a 3 and what is it? 3 5/8 size. Then, which I think they call the medium Stockman, but it's a very small knife. And then they make a 3 7/8. Is that right? I think they do also make a 3 7/8, which I think is less common. And then they make the large Stockman. But the weird thing, I don't think they call the 3 5/8 a small Stockman, then medium Stockman, large Stockman. I think the 3 5/8 is still called a medium Stockman. I don't know what the 3 7/8 inches one is called, but neither here nor there. This is the large Stockman, and really good, really nice. Pinched bolsters, again, really nice fit and finish. And I brought this one up just to show. This, I'm not really going to talk about the Boker much. I just think it's gorgeous. I've done a couple videos on it now. I'll do update videos on it as I go. Fit and finish on this thing is ridiculous, especially for the money. Maybe not the MSRP, but the money that you can get this off of SMKW is, I think, worth it. For the steel, for the materials. Copper's pretty expensive metal. O1 tool steel. Fit and finish is excellent. So, and I'll say the fit and finish on this Boker is better than these Case knives. And this is a little bit more expensive than the Case, but anyway. But here's an interesting example. This is the Rosecraft Blades Beaver Creek Barlow. And I'm trying to remember what I paid for this thing. This thing also might be $65. I think, call it that they're very similarly priced. This one might be a little bit less, actually, because if you find a deal on this, you get like 10% off from somewhere. Maybe it's like $60. This is like a few dollars more. They're very comparably priced, though. Okay. Now, USA made, not USA made, China made. D2 tool steel, Case CV carbon steel. The fit and the finish on these Rosecraft blades are blade, I should say. I have this one that I'm showing right now, are really nice. They did a really nice job on this. I really dig it. Hear that back spring? Excellent. Really nice. You hear that? And I love the back. Very nice and clean, very tight. The liners steel, liners are steel, the bolsters are steel. The back spring is steel. I just love how that looks. Very nice and clean. Just great. I think they did a bang-up job at this knife. Now here. Much lighter. So just throwing it out there. You know? I think that the back spring on this knife the back is better done on the Rosecraft than it is on the Case. I'll say this. It is definitely, this is a nicer knife. This Barlow is better than this Barlow, in my opinion. This is a thinner knife. The Rosecraft is just a little bit overall length, a little bit bigger. I like the steel on the Rosecraft better. I like the design. I like the fit and finish. Transitions both feel excellent. Back spring, there you have it. I give it a this. So again, this is not a full-on review, or I'm just showing it off. And I'm not trying to knock on Case. But I don't know what that means. I'll just leave this out there for now. This knife costs around $60, call it. Made in China. This knife costs maybe around $60, made in the USA. What does that tell you? Labor is more expensive in the United States, right? So your dollar goes less. So I guess it makes sense that, you know, the dollar is going more if you buy from China, so that the labor that they can spend more time on this because they're paying labor. It's less expensive. So there are different ways of viewing that. The opinion I have kind of is that if we want to buy American, if we want to focus on buying American or what have you, then American products have to be up to par. And I don't want to get on a philosophical video on economics or anything, but think about that for a second. Like, if a consumer is faced with two products that are both the same cost, one is made overseas, one is made in the United States, but the one overseas is made better, what are you going to do? I mean, what when you allow free markets to take over? What are people supposed to do? Some people might say, you know what, thanks, I'll buy American. Good, power to you, and I can see why you'd want to do that. Some folks might say, you know what, I just want the quality. I want the quality. Because that's what is important to me. When I pick this thing up every day, I'm not thinking so much about where it was made. I'm thinking about what it feels like in my hand. So it's something to think about, you know, something to think about. Again, I'm not really coming up with any answers. I'm just trying to throw out some ideas and kind of say that some people come out on this issue in different places, and I can kind of see what each person is trying to say there. So, you know, do what you want, really. Do what you want. But what I will say, though, is American companies need to think about that, because if you want American consumers to buy American, then American knives have to be good. They have to be up to the competition. Now, it's easier said than done, because it's a big task. How can you expect these two knives to be comparable if they're both the same price and you're paying less for labor on this knife? That's a tough one. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but it's something to think about. It's something to think about. That's how the world goes. That's how it works. So some people will do this, some people will do that. I clearly have done both, so maybe that's where I come out on it. You know, I'll leave that there. What I'll say in closing is Case is still great. I mean, I have been disappointed in the past with Case knives, especially in light of what I see GEC doing, but and especially in light of what I know Case has done in the past. I'll say that. But there are a lot of factors. GEC is twice as expensive as this, more than twice the cost. If GEC put out this knife, it would be way more than twice the cost, because there's a lot of steel here, and this is a big knife. This would be $175, I don't know, $165 MSRP. I mean, from a dealer, that's how much you pay for this, easily. So it's you know, way more than double the cost. So it's something to think about. Anyway, sorry for the ramble. I'm gonna leave that there. It's a long video, so thanks if you made it to the end, and I'll see you guys next time.